happening? Audio. What about now? Audio testing. 1, 2, 3. Got that. Rick, how about some
Testing.
audio?
5, 4, 6, 7, 8.
There we go. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Got that. Also got this shot of you, Rick. That's in preview right now. Let me go ahead and switch that screen back over to output so you can see whatever's live. So that would be a live shot of you. I've also got this shot, and I didn't quite finish it up, but we can put whatever we want to in the big picture there. If you want to talk about anything in particular, or we may just switch to that one from this one. Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. TKDS Sports made it on time. Well done. Well done. We used to have a joke that anybody that was late had to provide snacks in the post show. And so it ended up being like, what was it? Nuts and lemonade or something like that. I don't remember. And then who was it? Somebody brought nuts to the vmix, to the Streaming Idiots live on the floor of NAB. That was great. That was funny.
And of course, the NAB concessionaire says no outside food.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Well, he smuggled it. Well, it was mixed nuts, and they wanted to charge something like $60 a pound.
Yeah.
For that stuff. I was amazed. I was amazed. All right, how are we doing? Oh, we got time. All right, so let's do the intro, and we'll be right back. All right, well, another show. I'm Tom Sinclair. This is Streaming Idiots. Delighted to have a special guest in the studio. Actually, second time he's visited the studio.
First time on air.
First time on air. You're not quite live yet, Rick. Let me introduce you first. He's raring to go. He's raring to go. Rick Mitchell has been a long-time vmix guy for 5 or 6 years. 2019, I think he said he first bumped into vmix. He's out of Kentucky, Bowling Green, Kentucky, and has an extensive background in TV and radio and all sorts of good stuff. So with no further ado, let me bring Rick in. Rick, welcome to the show. So glad you are here in person and live. You sent me a message. What was it? I guess last week or the week before.
Well, I owed you lunch.
You owed me lunch.
Yes.
Okay. That's what everybody says. And he still hasn't paid me. He still hasn't taken me lunch.
Au contraire.
Au contraire. Oh, okay. Well, nevertheless, this is lunch. I said, you can either come Thursday and we have lunch, or you can come Wednesday and be on the show. And he said, okay, twist my arm.
Talked me into it.
That's right. That's right. So, Rick, you have been a vmix guy, you said, since 2019, because of something to do with a TV station. Tell me that story.
I was chief engineer of a low-power TV station in Bowling Green, part of a triple threat, a newspaper, which also owned a radio station, which then owned a low-power TV station, and they were all headquartered on two sides of the street in Bowling Green. And a good friend of mine, who is now the publisher of the paper from a different company that owns it now, asked me to come help him with some things, and I ended up doing a lot of work for him, and we started talking about how to do live TV and production. They already had multimedia journalists, which would go out and cover stories and edit them, but the idea was to have a daily newscast and other things. And so I started looking around for production equipment and things. Someone had provided Joe Emmel a bid with some ATEM minis and some bird dog cameras and sandbags, and mostly for the radio station to start off with for their morning show. And I said, that doesn't look like the best possible thing. So I started looking around and I found all these people talking about this software called vmix. I thought that looks pretty interesting. And I started looking for people around where I was who knew something about it. And I made some cold emails to some people, and nobody responded. And then I just saw in a database somewhere that there's some crazy guy named Tom Sinclair who happens to be in Eastern Shore, Alabama, in Fairhope. And my wife and I and some friends, Mike and Sharon, were coming down to Orange Beach for October. And I called Tom up and he said, sure, you can stop by. And so Mike and I did, and this was when the studio was a little different and it's been turned 90 degrees. And I sat onto the side with Mike and we watched Tom produce a show.
Oh, were you here for the live show?
We were here for the live show.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, because you were over there.
Yeah.
And then you put it on pause, and then you grabbed your X-Key 80s with the long USB cord and walked over here to here, and which was green then, and sat on a chair and did your show for the rest of the time.
And that's what Rick looks like today. That's the other part of the studio. So just the green screen. Yeah. The background is the background. Tell me a little bit about the background.
Okay, the background.
Your background.
Background here. This is my church system.
Okay.
And if you want to bring it up full screen, I can explain a little bit about what it has.
Yeah, let me see if I can figure out a way to do that. You keep talking.
We have a vmix machine that I didn't buy from Tom, but it was what I could get during COVID, because for some reason something happened in 2020 and we had to quit having services, and I'd already been using cameras for the radio station and vmix, which is a complete other story, but I'd go on Friday afternoon and borrow the cameras and set them up in church, and Sunday afternoon take them back. And we never missed a Sunday streaming along the way. We started off with just my wife's laptop with not a pirate, but a trial copy of vmix. And then we got to my laptop, and then we bought a machine and bought a 4K version of it to go on there. And we were setting up, a traditional church has the aisle down the middle, and we were right at the first pew, and the cameras to either side. So we do that, and I said, we may move out of here, may let people come back, but we're not going to give up this spot because it's perfect. So the choir can go around, but the crucifer has to plant the cross and pole vault over us. It never happened. We got moved out, which was really good. But what we have here, you don't see the computer, which is sitting down underneath the desk, but I've got a couple of X-Key 80s. The one on the left has camera control and some other things. The one on the right has lots of presets. My monitor there shows my vmix system. And then I've got another monitor sitting above that, which is just my multi-view for preview and program and the cameras. And then the one on the side of it is the program monitor, and then over to the right is a graphics computer. We don't use lower thirds, we use right thirds, and that makes it a little easier to read, especially on a small screen. And it started off my wife and I, she'd do the graphics and I'd do the switching, and it's still us most of the time. We have a couple of volunteers which do come and help. Maybe we can get some more. Maybe somebody will watch this show and say, I need the help. That's right.
Well, I tell you what, I grew up as an Episcopalian. And so I know very well, and I've served on vestries and things like that. So I know very well, if you volunteer for a position in a church, or if you get appointed by the rector, there are only two ways to get out of it.
Die.
Or
die.
Or move to another church. And even then, they may call you.
Yeah. Well, I've been going to that church for 46 years or so, I think I'm kind of happy there.
Now, Um, back to the TV station for a second. Actually, let's go back to that. Go back further and go back to 1978. So you were, still wet behind the ears.
Sort of wet behind the ears. I was in broadcasting. I'd been in it full time since 1973, with a few exceptions. And 1978, I got laid off from a radio station that I was chief engineer of. Budget cuts. Sometimes they're the bane of people's lives. Sometimes there are doors that you can go through. So I went and spent my severance paycheck at Radio Shack and bought my first computer and came home and programmed it to tell my girlfriend at the time, Linda, said, "I love you, Linda," over and over and over again. She said, "Okay." So within a little while, I was back working in radio, but I still was doing things, consulting. I got married in a suit that I bought consulting in 1980. And in 1983, another budget cut at another radio station came along. So I went into consulting again, more directly and more hungrily. That's the word.
Highly motivated.
And then went to work for Radio Shack Computer Center after that. And I didn't get laid off from Radio Shack. I got the bug to actually go because people were paying me to fly somewhere and do some work, to quit my job and stay home. And I've been self-unemployed since 1986, almost 40 years.
And have you enjoyed it?
Mostly.
Yeah.
I can't say every day's been perfect, but
Sure.
It beats, well, I say I don't have one boss. I have all those bosses.
That's right. That's right.
But
you can fire any of them.
I can fire any of them at will.
That's right. I love it. I love it. That's great. There are certain personality types that find out they really do need to work for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But the only way to discover it was when everybody else fires them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hear you on that one.
I always wanted to work for myself. My company, Broadband Business Systems, actually was created about 1980 or so. I had someone that I was trying to get to build me a logo, and he said, "I don't believe you were using that term back in 19 whatever it was." I said, "Well, I don't believe I'm going to pay any money to you." But I've been around it a while. My dad taught me to install phones when I was about 10, and he was a combat photographer in the Army, so I've been around photography and media. My brother went into television, and I went into radio, so it's just kind of in our blood.
Now, you were telling me before, and I shouldn't have let you tell me the story before, but
Okay.
You were telling me the story of putting in a vmix system into a TV station.
Right. The newspaper, radio, TV station. The radio station was on the other side of the street, and we had dark fiber running between the two to carry the TV images from the consoles over to an STL out to the transmitter site. But we also could run backwards. And they'd been using live stream software and Vimeo, and they wanted a little bit better and something a little easier and a little more professional. So the first machine that I bought from Tom and a couple of PTZ Gen 2 NDI machines, we put the vmix machine on one side of the street, and we put the cameras on the other side of the street, and we had Dante Audio taking it out of the distribution amp and coming into the vmix machine. And I had Joe Emmel and Brian Locke that I was teaching how to do this, and on Monday I ran the first half of the show from like 6 to 7:30, and then I said, "Okay, you've seen what I've done, and you all take over from here, and I'll just sit back behind you." And on Tuesday, Brian and Joe did all the cutting and running of the show. And on Wednesday, Brian got up at about 5:30, had a cup of coffee, went in and sat down in his chair in Morgantown, Kentucky, which is about 35 miles away from the studio, and fired up his laptop and TeamViewer and produced the show until COVID came along and we had to reconfigure it and put it actually in the studio so it didn't have to do that. Plus the TV station got put up for sale, so Brian had to go back doing other things. So,
Gotcha.
but it worked very well, and it's still working well today. Tom just helped me with a new computer for it not long ago, which is why I owe him lunch.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. So you guys were using dark fiber, and you had that. You were already using that.
Well, they had put that in strictly because originally all of the servers for the TV station were in the radio station because we had this 180-foot tower sitting there, and we wanted to move them over across the street to the newspaper office to put them in the server room where the studio was going to be built. So we had dark fiber from the utility company run, and we'd also had some dark fiber to another building, which was a shopper newspaper that was on another corner. And so we were familiar with it, but so we put in our own network, and I ran multiple virtual LANs. The TV production software was on one VLAN. The servers output into an encoder, which went out on another VLAN back across the fiber, so it wouldn't interfere with it. And then we could run some other data as well on various things, and have Cisco 2960 switches on either side and media converters, and everything just ran really solidly.
Amazing. Amazing. So you guys weren't using NDI?
Yeah, we were.
You were using? Okay.
Yeah, we were using NDI because it went across that just fine.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, the PTZ optics cameras came defaulting on 192.168.100.
Yes.
So that was the .100 VLAN that we used for the cameras.
Ah, gotcha.
And the cameras and production equipment in the radio station were completely separate from the radio station's network. I mean, we took our IP from across the street at the radio station, had our router there, or at the TVs, or at the newspaper, had our router there, fed the multiple VLANs, and then the fiber over across the street. So
cool.
And they're still separate.
All right. So with that background, are you familiar at all with the new OMT?
I have seen some things about it. I'm looking forward one of these days to getting to play with it.
Okay. Okay.
I just haven't had a chance to download actually, I don't have a spare machine to use to put the new version of 29 on. So.
Right. I was talking to my good friend, Dr. Tom Eagle, actually yesterday, about OMT and about some of what I think the backstory is on it. And this is purely imagination on my part. I don't have a single fact to prove this, but Martin Sinclair, the developer of vmix, was working on something like OMT like 9 years ago, 2016, probably before that. And then NewTek introduced NDI.
Yeah.
Dr. Andrew Cross, who was then the president of NewTek, and a friend or colleague of Martin Sinclair, they had, collaborated to the point where Martin said, well, I'm going to put my work on hold while you go ahead and finish up NDI. And vmix was the very first product to incorporate NDI. 2016 in March, it was introduced at NAB. And then, maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 now, Dr. Cross left NewTek, went to Grass Valley. And in my mind, that meant that NDI didn't have a champion anymore at NewTek. It just became another product. And it was a product that probably, requires a license in anything that uses it, unless it's a bird dog where they created their own. But I think Martin Sinclair has looked 2 or 3 years down the road and said, NDI is going to fall on hard times because it doesn't have a champion at NewTek. In the same way that Wirecast fell on hard times because it didn't have a champion at whatever the company is that owns Wirecast now. It's changed hands a few times. And I think Martin has said we're gonna fix a problem that hasn't even occurred yet. And he does that a lot. And so he's created this OMT, and one of the projects that we will do here soon, as soon as I can get some spare time to do it, is to get that little teeny computer. What do they call those little things?
Yeah, I know.
Name escapes me for the moment.
Yeah.
$100 on Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be set up to run OMT so that you can put any video into that little guy,
Right.
and it will convert it to OMT, so it acts as an encoder. Thank you. Giles says Raspberry Pi. Thank you so much. Of course, Raspberry Pi. I think they're...
So Giles, I'll answer his other question here in just a minute.
The 5th or the 6th version. So that's going to mean that everybody that's stuck with an NDI-enabled camera and maybe has problems, or maybe a non-NDI camera,
Mm-hmm.
can now have a network camera for the cost of this Raspberry Pi and a little tinkering. So Dr. Tom Eagle, there's your chance to convert those cameras over. I mean, it becomes what essentially Bird Dog had as their flex encoders, which was just a little box, and you plugged HDMI into it and plugged Ethernet into the other side. And so I think that's the way we're going. Yeah, Giles says the Raspberry Pi 5 for OMT.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, don't know how. I think your dark fiber story just intrigued me,
Mm-hmm.
and we're going to see more and more in that side. Giles
Fiber
says
is
he's
an
watching
interesting
on it.
thing because I have it at my church. When we built on, I said, I just want one thing, a conduit from where the comm room was in the old building to the new building. And I found the conduit in the old building with a nice pull string through it, but we never could find it. And finally the electricians came and said, oh, here it is. It comes down into the 440 volt rack. Just what you want to pull low voltage cable into.
Yeah, really.
But they came and stubbed it up, and then we pulled our multi-mode fiber from that room up to there. So instead of 386 feet, we had basically a zero latency IP connection. And then we used the same thing to bring fiber from our ISP from the street on State Street down into the other room and then back up.
So your latency is like 2 milliseconds?
Something like that.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Holy cow. You know, it's funny to hear you talk about that. And then I talked to somebody 2 days ago that was having some difficulty with vmix, and he was streaming, and the little stream button was turning orange. And we talked about, you know, internet speed, and he was assuming that since he had 100 megs down, that he could use all 100 megs down for his stream. And I'm thinking, come on, guys. We had this discussion 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Are we still having this discussion today? We don't care about download. We care about upload. But yeah, crazy.
I just have a 50 by 50 symmetrical. And most of the time when I have problems, it's because I've got something else, too many inputs open on the vmix, or something chatting too much on the network.
Right.
But by and large, it's very, very solid.
Now your network at the church, is that a 10 gig network?
It's just a 1 gig right
1 gig.
now.
Okay. Okay.
But it's shortly going to be an all Cisco managed network with VLANs for various things.
Gotcha. So all of your NDI cameras are HX?
Yes.
Okay. So you're not really worried about bottlenecking your
No.
network there.
Because I've got Gen 2s and I've got Move SEs. I've got, not SEs, I've got Move 4Ks, three
Right.
of those.
Right.
And then still the 2 Gen 2s that I got from you. And of course, the 2 Gen 2s that I got from you, one was gray and one was white. And what drove the ability to get the 4Ks was the color committee said, why is one of those cameras different? And he said, well, my priest said, go ahead and get 2 new ones. I said, can I have 3? So I got 2 30Xs and a 20X. And the 20X is my basically, in our church, the old section has an arch which comes up like this between the old, and the Move 4K 30s are mounted right here facing each other.
Okay.
So they can go this way or they can go this way.
Right.
And so I can sit there and see every part of the building from there.
Wow.
And then the Move 20 is sitting here. It can only go towards the new section.
Right.
And then I took one of the old Gen 2s, the black one, and set it up above the altar, above in a window. So I have an altar camera that looks down. I just need it to stick out a little further so I can actually have it go straight down and see the altar itself. But I can follow the choir up or
now
anything.
You have a habit of mounting cameras in kind of odd locations.
Yes.
We've got a little shot here of, I guess this is your studio.
This is my personal studio. The monitor up top is not the best way, but it's when we had an apartment in New York when the grandkids lived up there. I'd bought a 4K from Micro Center and I brought it back home with me and mounted it up there to replace an old 1080. And then what I had done at the church was I got that cast iron gas pipe, inch wide, and I had a flange mounted to a piece of wood, and it came up, and that Samsung monitor, which is curved, no, that's not it. The one at church was the curved one.
Sorry.
But it's mounted on that. And at church, I had 2 10-inch monitors going side by side. And then I had something else up there. But at home, I just did the same thing and said, I want a camera above my monitor, and just flipped it upside down and aimed it at me and reversed the image. Now, the Move 4Ks know when you've hung them upside down, and they do that automatically.
Oh, my goodness. I did not realize that.
Yeah.
Of course, I've never hung a Move 4K upside
The Move 4K
down.
30Xs are bigger, and we use the same mounts, but they wouldn't fit. They would not turn in the space. So Alan Cothran, who is my partner in crime and a dear friend, and hi, Alan, I told you I'd say hi to you. We said, let's just mount them upside down. And they did. And the image righted itself without any problem. And the left and right controls worked without having any problem.
No, it was upside down.
I guess it's got a mercury switch in it.
Wow. Okay. I like it. I like it. Well,
let me answer Giles's question. Giles, yes, Kilo November 4, Hotel Mike X-Ray.
There you go.
But I'm not very active. I also have run professional 450 and VHF repeaters and towers and stuff in my career, and been a wireless ISP.
Well, let's move to the post show. But Rick, officially as a part of the show, I want to thank you for making the trip from Kentucky down here just for this show.
This is the only reason I came. I don't go to the beach. I don't go out and eat. Well, I did go to the beach this morning, but this is one of the highlights of my trip down here, definitely.
Oh, you're funny. You are funny. Okay, we'll be right back after the closing. Thank you, Martin K, for that. And and there we are. There we are. All right, so we got some questions. You answered Giles' question about being a ham radio operator.
Mm-hmm.
And what do they call that? A call sign?
Yeah, it's your license
your
ID.
license. Okay.
Call sign.
Okay.
Call letters.
Call letters. All right. And Jesper's here. And Giles says Raspberry Pi. Okay. And he's watching us on a Raspberry Pi. That's interesting.
Oh.
And TKDS says that he's had lots of flashing yellow today. Ken Benedict is here. It was Ken that brought all the peanuts, all the mixed nuts.
All right.
To the floor
Thank you,
of
Ken.
NAB.
I wasn't there, but talking about NAB real quick, the guys from the radio station and newspaper had been to NAB in 2019.
Okay.
And they had their lanyards when I told them about vmix.
Uh-huh.
And I said, "Hey, Joe, look at your lanyard. Did I stream them right or what?"
Yeah, that and it's funny about that. Nobody else wanted the lanyard that one year, and
Mhm.
vmix got it, and I think they still have it.
Yeah.
That's a biggie. That's a biggie.
I got to meet Tim 2 years ago in New York,
Aha.
and also Paul from PTZ Optics.
Yep. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Let's see. I'm looking for something here real quick. And let's see. Is that it? Yeah, that's it. Let's do this. There we go. Now we're official with a post show. All right, let's see. Otis is here. Giles has given you his license key as call sign.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Rick, what do you want to do next? What do you have on the horizon?
I'm not real sure. I'm trying to teach myself how to use dynamic variables. And I saw a thing on John Mahoney's show the other day where it came down, and this is probably a while back, where the host came down and put one of the
That was Friday.
slides. It was?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a while back.
You're up with the latest.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to figure out how to do that and wrap my brain around it. I've been a programmer for years in COBOL language and databases. So I'm understanding move this into that.
Right.
So I want to have it so I can bump somebody down and move everybody else to the left.
Right.
I just haven't quite gotten all my hands around that yet. I did figure out how to, at the radio station, I haven't implemented it yet, but when they're streaming, I can use the output to the bird dog play, which is up on the wall for their conferences monitor, and say, streaming, and over here, recording. So they can see it, but nobody else could.
Right. Right. Oh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, that's, it's funny, the little things that make a huge difference that sometimes are hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have one other project. We have a set of a prelude, which you're familiar with, because that's where everybody talks. All the kids do. And then we have bells. Well, I recorded the bells live one time for 10 a.m. and then I went and cut about 3/4 of a second between peals. And that's fine most of the time until you get a kid goes bang, 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 bang. And they're finished live long before my recording is. So I'm looking for a way I'll still have the static graphic, but I want a microphone out there. And Jeff Keithley's new Dante mic preamp sounds interesting to me.
Oh, yeah.
Because I can run a piece of Cat 5 out there very easily.
Right.
And just got a little bird-proof box for the microphone.
Love it. I love it. I love it. There are so many different ways to do so many different things now that, 10 years ago, back in 2013, when I started this show, we were trying to find cards that we could put inside of PCs to capture video.
Mm-hmm.
And Osprey had a 4-port video capture card, that was standard definition, that was $1,000.
Yeah.
And that was just a bridge too far.
Yeah.
And I remember going through eBay to find anything I could that would fit inside a PC that would capture video. And there were all sorts of frame grabbers and other things that grabbed pictures at 30 frames a second or 60 frames a second, but they just wouldn't cut it. And I ended up with a whole closet full of these cards. I remember doing a show, I think I called it the Capture Card Graveyard, of all the cards that we tried over the years. And finally, I forget who was it, somebody came out with a 4-port HDMI card for what was essentially, I thought, pennies on the dollar, and it was like, we have arrived. And now, you know, I'm buying 4-port SDI cards, you know, off-brand for $200.
Yeah.
Holy cow, my gosh.
So one of the things I did was I have a whole bunch of videotapes, and I had a little USB with CVBS input and audio, and I plugged my VHS player into that, and I plugged it into the machine, and I told vmix to record. And so I digitized all my tapes. And then I wanted a way to figure out what was going on. So I went back and I'd start the thing and it'd put it in play for about a second and then go back to preview. And when it was in play, it would record a screenshot. And so by the time then I took all those screenshots and threw them in, it also had a time code on the screen. So I could scrub through it and see where I was and say, okay, that's my daughter. I want to go to that part on the real video.
Cool. Cool.
And I also did that with FireWire from my 8mm camcorder.
FireWire. Boy, I haven't heard anybody say that in forever.
And I've got 16 FireWire microphone preamps. two 8-port units that my brother gave me.
Oh, got it. Catching dust.
Yep.
Catching dust. Yes. Yes.
I also used something I saw on vmix once to do for Easter. I did a stained glass on the east side of the church, completely dark, and every 30 seconds grab a frame, and got the sunrise on Easter morning. Well, I previewed or premiered it on Easter morning. It was actually shot a few days before that.
Oh, that's great.
And it was the prelude to our Easter show.
Oh, that's cool. Great idea. All right, Giles is saying, was that the StarTech USB 4-port card? I think I still have one of those in my original vmix box. Still works all these years. Good recommendation by you. Yeah, the reason, I remember talking about that, Giles, calling it the poor man's capture card, because basically it was a card. It wasn't a capture card, it was a USB card, but each port had its own controller so that you could load it up with those little USB dongles and put 4 cameras into a system using that.
Yeah.
And you could, if you wanted to, you could use those $25 Amazon dongles. That was good stuff. And TKDS Sports Network says, Tom, how's the 2U system coming? And how about your site? The 2U system is sitting right over there to Rick's left.
Right here.
Right there. And we probably need to take some pictures of it and put it on our website, which is going to come back out. Our website's been down, Rick, for a month.
I saw that.
And it's time to get it back up. Part of it is I've been traveling, and the other part of it is I have been building PCs to come out my ears. You can see over to your right 2 boxes there that are just about ready to go out there on the hand truck. And then I've got a stack of 2U cases right there ready to build systems in. So if it's not one thing, it's another.
Well, my personal website is about as static as a dead cat. And it's an old picture, and I've never changed it.
I saw it this morning.
Yeah.
I saw it this morning. I loved it. I was like, there is a guy that just is not intimidated to let things stay where they are. Well, look, I really appreciate you having on the show today.
I
It was just a
appreciate it,
lot of
Tom.
fun.
It's a pleasure.
A lot of fun and good to catch up. So, folks, coming up next week, heck, I'm not quite sure at this point what we're doing next week, but we're going to be doing something. There will be a show next week, promise. And we'll take it from there. So, any final words there, Rick?
Tom, thank you for having me and getting me started on this adventure, because it is. I'm always doing something. You've probably seen my email slogan that I came up with. Any day I learn something is a good day. If it's useful, that makes it a great day.
There you go.
And with that, I'm going to say thanks.
Good deal. Good deal. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll see you next time.